introduction of our association. So I want to introduce today's speaker. Today we have Lazzat Borankulova. She's a Harvard Business School alumni with 20 years investment and assessment management executive roles in the larger SWF PE with 8,000 million. Expert in fundraising and investor relationship, LP, value add member of more than capital VC funds. So she's also founder and CEO of Growth Vision Pro and Khan Tengri Innovation Hub. As we said, her work is mainly focused on helping technology companies to scale internationally, build strategic partnership, and secure venture capitals. So during today's meeting, Lazzat will introduce, I will stop my sharing. So Lazzat will introduce Khan Tengri Innovation Hub at Shanghai's Zhangjiang High-Tech Park, often called Asian Silicon Valley. The hub's the first platform connecting startups and R&D centers from Central Asia with Chinese innovation ecosystem, supporting technology and transfer, market entry, and cross collaboration. Yeah, she will. And yeah, if you have question, please write in the chat box or yeah. Thank you very much. So Lazzat, very honored to having you. After I'm also personally stayed in China more than 10 years. I did my medical school and residency, so I have very deep connection to China. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Galmjan, for a very good introduction and providing more details about your association. And I do understand how difficult it is to put everything in one place and coordinate and organize all of these events. And I see from the presentations that you do a lot of events in different directions. And it is very good that you decided to connect all of our academics and PhD students from different parts of the world. So we really appreciate the work that you're doing. And thank you for having me today and inviting me for this. And I will be glad today to share my experience about the transition from corporate world to the innovation sector. Maybe that will be also, useful for today's audience, and to make the decision to maybe sometimes in the future switch from the academia to the innovation sector. And I will be sharing today my experience and mostly talking about the Chinese innovation ecosystem and how Khan Tengri Innovation Hub can help the startups or the founders or the academia members to establish their startups in China, or how to collaborate and work with China to succeed in the innovation area. So let me share the presentation that I have prepared for today's session. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, Lazzat, we can see and we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, just a little bit. Wait a minute. Okay, so my name is Lazzat Borankulova, and as Galmjan mentioned, I came from the corporate world. In particular, I worked for 20 years in the quasi-state sectors here in Kazakhstan. So my first 8 years I spent in a national oil and gas company, and then closer to 10 years in the sovereign wealth fund Samruk Kazina. Then right after that, I joined the largest private equity fund, Verni Capital, and worked a little bit in the AIFC. And from the beginning of 2024, I started my own business, which is called the Khan Tengri Innovation Hub, or the Growth Vision Pro. And as my previous experience was mostly related to the investment sides, the due diligence, fundraising, and structuring the deals. So my background is actually from the finance. So I was very closely related to the investment side. And based on my work that I have done, I was also involved in the research, in the economics and all the innovation and in investment side, which is happening all around. So closer to 2018, I just pay attention that apart from traditional sectors, which is oil and gas in Kazakhstan and like the logistic infrastructure, there is some raising and emerging sectors like the tech sectors. So based on the US statistics and US developments in the technology, I paid attention to the tech side. And right after the corporate world, I decided to connect my further career with the innovation and the technology. So that's actually one of the reasons why I came to the technology side and to the innovation side. So in 2024, we started our journey to establishing these bridges between the Central Asian, Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan startups and help the tech companies to grow outside of the country. And in order to deep dive into what we are doing here, I would like to maybe spend a little bit more time about the Chinese ecosystem, because this is very important to understand the background and context, why we selected the China market, and what kind of opportunities this market can provide to actually all of us. So we today I will be spending several topics as sharing several topics. One of the China innovation ecosystem and how Khan Tengri innovation can help us, and what kind of opportunities for the scientists or academia the China ecosystem may offer. So to provide a little bit background about the China, and because I'm working with a lot of people who actually asks why I selected the China market. So and I understand that from the feedback that I receive from the audience and from the people to whom I talk to, most of the people still think that China is that the old system of the China. It's all about the manufacturing. So we all know that the China manufactures in a cheap way, in a big quantities. They can be very flexible to define the whole the production and manufacturing processes in a very high speed. But at the same time, we undervalue on innovation achievements that they have reached during the last 10, 15 years. So currently, China is moving from manufacturing hub to the global leader in the AI and technologies. And you can maybe see from the recent news that what kind of achievements they already reached in the drones, in the robotics sector, and the dark factories that operates without any single people on it. So this type of the things that really matters right now, and we would like to be part of this growing of the Chinese ecosystem. That's why we think that it's the right time to integrate our talents and innovation in tech into the Chinese ecosystem. So coming back to some of the statistics, we see that China is just right behind the US in terms of the AI innovation. So as you can see in the global AI index, the China is right behind the US. And in terms of the AI patents that it granted, the China replaced US in starting from 2012, if I'm not mistaken. So currently, Chinese companies or the patents that they received in the AI takes almost 61% from overall total number of the AI grants right now. And that is happening because the China provides a lot of attention to what's going on in the innovation ecosystem, and they do it in a very structured way. So we understand that US and China are the leading, and if the US dominates in the private sector, private investments into the AI and tech and the VC sectors, the US, the China's competitive advantage compared to the other countries is that they are doing some structured way how to monetize the old innovation and patents that they're getting from the R&D sector into the real world. And here you can see a lot of progress because, for example, the robotics sector was initiated in the US many years ago, and we know many companies who operated there for more than 10 years, but still there is no application of these robotics in the real life. While, for example, in the China case, in terms of the robotics, after spending maybe 7, 10 years in that, right now we see that the robotics are fully engaged in the day-to-day operations and into day-to-day manufacturing and production facilities here in China. So that's the key competitive advantage of the China, that they're exactly putting all the research that they have done in the labs into the real world life. So in terms of the China's tech innovation programs, I put it here, key statistics that is very important for the startups or for the founders who actually think about establishing a startup in China ecosystem. So here you can notice that the digital economy takes significant part of the China's GDP. It's closer to 43%. and close to 9 trillion USD, which is a huge portion of the GDP contribution. So in terms of the 5G or the 6G network, why it is important for the innovation? Because this provides a seamless and a very fast access to the internet and to all the calculation and the computing powers, because based on these connections, you can build your product and do it in a fast way. So in terms of the R&D expenses, we will come to that, topics later on. But in 2024, the country spent more than 500 billion USD into the R&D. So R&D in terms of developing and establishing new solutions and patenting them. So we see that it's a huge amount of money that country and the state spends to and motivates to spend for the R&D. So in terms of the internet penetration and online payment, you see that it is a huge numbers of the population who uses these tools on every day. So all of these tech backgrounds provide the opportunity for the startups to enter actually any sector within the economies, because there is the infrastructure in place. There is a very well digitally educated population. And of course, China is the second consumer market in the world. So that's a huge opportunity for the startups to scale to the China market and explore and succeed. So in terms of the China startup ecosystem, it's actually ranks 13 based on the Global Startup Ecosystem Index in 2024. There is a large number of the startups who operate in China. It's 11,500. And within that, especially in Hong Kong, there is closer to 5,000 startups who operates that. And usually the mainland China uses the Hong Kong as a gateway to scale outside of the China, and foreign startups and foreign community also uses the Hong Kong to enter the mainland China. So there is top cities that actually attracts all of this attention in terms of the tech. It's Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen, and many other second tier and third tier cities that spends a lot of government subsidies, grants in order to attract foreign talent, foreign startups, and also develop in-house competences to develop these startups. So in terms of the tech sectors that is a top priority for China, I listed here actually all the mainstreams that is very popular right now. One of them is the AI, and most of them currently most of the government spending also spent to the semiconductors, because they would like to become more independent from the chips producing, because currently we know the Nvidia is the leading, but because the China would like to have more independence in that, so they're spending a lot of money to develop these semiconductors. So as you can see, there is a lot of areas that can be directly related with the academia or professors, PhD that is involved. And one of them is the life and health sciences, for example, the biotech, new materials, and quantum computing, aerospace and satellite technology. So all of these priority sectors in China allows to attract more foreign talents to China in order to execute all of these sector developments. So and answering the, maybe potential questions that may come from the audience today. So how the Chinese innovation ecosystems thrived so fast, because the government follows some strict and structured way how to support the innovation, and most importantly, how to not only keep it at the R&D labs, but how to put it in the real life scenarios and commercialize all of these developments. So overall, to keep it simple, the national planning, that goes from the top down, they provide some formal incentives in order to motivate people do more R&Ds, and that also provides the equality that using these two key components, participants of the market can commercialize their findings and their breakthrough solutions, and to put it in a more commercial way, and how to to earn from their R&D results. So here I put it a couple of things that actually, motivates people to do more R&D and attract more academia to the real life world. That's for example, a key of them is that their universities and the researchers who works with the universities as academicians, they can commercialize their research findings and without getting any national level approval. So it's based on the university priorities, and the profits from putting on commercial basis all the findings of the R&D are directed back to the research producers. So at least 50% of the profits that they get from the commercialization of their findings goes directly back to the researchers. And another opportunity for the researchers to combine the work in the lab and with the real enterprises. The government allows these researchers to work up for 3 years and in the real world, in the real businesses and enterprises, and at the same time keep their positions in the academia world. And the commercialization of the outcomes of the R&D is also incorporated as the evaluation system of the institutions in providing them the rankings. So the government actually provides different types of the motivations even for the universities to commercialize their findings and R&D centers. And they recently introduced the R visa to attract the foreign high-level talents. And I will again stop on that at the later periods, what kind of subsidies or grants academia and the PhD students can grant in China in order to, fully benefit from the policies, government policies to develop this innovation. And in terms of attracting the foreign individuals, government also provides a lot of subsidies and grants, including the subsidizing the cost for the housing, for the education of the kids, and access to the lab spaces. And also another very important thing is access to the computing powers that actually speed up the research results for the academia. And a lot of perks like the language training loans, startup grants that is founded by the PhD students or the high level talents. And of course, in order to motivate the enterprises to do more R&D works, they also provide some additional 100% pre-tax deduction for the R&D expenses. So as you can see, government provided a good environment for the enterprises and for the talents to be involved in the R&D and into the innovation sectors. So I mentioned before that R&D spending in 2024 was more than 500, and this amount takes 2.7% from the GDP. And yes, you can see this 2.6, 2.7. It's continuous investments into the R&D. So and we expect that this trend will continue. Thus, it's a hint for the academia to take closer attention to the Chinese innovation ecosystem and benefit from the government policies that they provide for the academicians. So we also, when we spoke with the Galimjan last time, I mentioned about that the high tech and high tech giants in China, they spend a lot of money and a lot of employees are involved in the R&D sector. And here I put some figures about the Huawei that they reported in 2024. So out of 54% of their total workforce directly engaged into the R&D. So you can see that they are not only talking about that, but they are putting in the real life, into real commercial projects that exploit and actually uses all the knowledge and experience of the academia into the exact business cases. So that's a very good, figures, I think, and that provides a good chance for our academia to involve in that. So China is a very, interesting ecosystem, and it is maybe sometimes very difficult to understand how it works. Because, for example, in the US market, you know that all the innovation stuff is concentrated in the Silicon Valley or in New York and other cities. But in China, it's all dispersed across the cities and across all of the science and technology parks. But this is also very good because there, each of these cities and each of these science and technology parks are competing with each other to attract the more brilliant and more talented people exactly to their parks. So you have a choice to select in which city you would like to go or in which, science and technology park to join. And based on their cluster development, you can select where the city that is focused exactly on your specific sector. And if you go to that city, you can get more subsidies and more support to succeed in developing your product or your startup. So I put it here actually all the key main sectors that are focused in these cities that I actually put it on map. So after this webinar, I can share this information with you, so you will be able to, review them in more detail. So that was the context why we selected the China, because we see that there is a lot of opportunities, and with having these China market opportunities in mind, we offered to open this innovation hub in China. And starting from 2025, we've made a lot of efforts to engage with the key ecosystem players in Kazakhstan and explain them about the Chinese opportunities. And by the mid of 2025, we officially opened the Khan Tengri Innovation Hub in Shanghai. And we were very glad to host our Vice Prime Minister, Minister for Artificial Intelligence, who actually supported us with this initiative. And we're very glad to have as a founding partners our Astana Hub and IT Park Uzbekistan structures that will allow us to combine not only the Kazakhstan, but overall Central Asia and Central Eurasian countries to enter the China market. So we are one of the innovation hubs, and I know that you mentioned, Galamjan, that previously you had a talk with Asiet Abdualiv. He's the head of the Silk Road Innovation Hub. So the same approach to help the Kazakhstani startups to scale outside of the region. The government, in particular the Ministry of Artificial Intelligence and Astana Hub, they joined the forces to open up different innovation hubs across the globe. And we are one of these innovation hubs that's supported by these our partners. And as you can see, we have another innovation hub in London. We have one in Saudi Arabia, in Dubai, and Singapore, and in Shanghai. That represents by the Khan Tengri Innovation Hub. So we currently pay a lot of attention to the AI startups because actually it's a mainstreaming, and you see that there is more opportunities to build the product in AI way faster than in traditional sectors. And currently, because of this AI trend, most of the VC funds not the request, but maybe preferable to have some AI components in that. So this is actually these 100 projects, which is from the Kazakhstan. And this information I took from the latest AI report of Kazakhstan, the release just a couple of weeks ago. So as you can see, a lot of sectors where the academia very welcome to participate and be part of these projects. And you can see that there is a lot of projects in the medtech, for example, or the industry for or some fintech, educational tech systems. So I think that provides a lot of opportunity for the academia to join any of these streams, because when we talk about the AI, the most valuable companies are the companies who engaged in the deep tech. So you have to, train your model. You need to do more lab uh, trials in order to really do some breakthrough and disruptive technology or the solutions that will really disrupt the existing sectors. And this AI provides more, how to say, the more opportunities to do it in a fast way. For example, in the biotech, if in the previous cases, the the lab people can spend years to test the combination of the medical elements in order to establish or create some solution for that. Right now, using the AI tools, this process may shrink for many times, and you can, test your hypothesis way faster and in a more, how to say, sophisticated way with the AI tools. So that's why we see that the academia is very welcome to the AI community and join these AI projects because your knowledge can be fitted with the needs of the startups, established startups, or the newly created startups, because they need some deep academic knowledge to build that deep tech solutions. So we are very welcome academia to join this innovation and startup game. So with having this in mind, I mentioned that we established the Khan Tengri Innovation Hub. Is our mission is to create these innovation bridges between Central Eurasia and China, and we cover different countries from Central Eurasia, and we are very welcome to support all of these startups from these countries. And in China, we also try to cover the first tier cities like the Beijing, Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Hangzhou. And as you can see, the number of the VC funds and number of the deals that happening in these cities are quite significant, and that increases the chances to succeed with your startups proposals to the market. So I will pass this, and we work not only to bring the talents and technology solutions to China, but we also work to export Chinese, import Chinese solution to our countries. And we do it in purpose because we would like to, combine the potential of the Chinese ecosystem with the opportunities and the talents that we have in our region, because our region is an emerging region. We are very hungry to any type of the collaboration, and we see this type of the collaboration to joining these two regions to establish more exciting, projects. And we also have a couple of good examples when such collaboration worked very well. So we mentioned before that we based in Shanghai, and within Shanghai, we decided to settle down in the Zhangjiang Science and Technology Park. This is one of the three largest tech parks in China. One is in Beijing, Jiangyongsong, another is in Zhangjiang Science, and the third one is the Shenzhen. And as you can see, it's a huge area where the research resources are concentrated in it. So this park actually hosts more than closer to 2,000 high-tech companies, and 180 foreign R&D centers are located in this park. And also you can pay attention to these statistics that currently in this park, including all the residents, more than 500,000 employees are working, and 108,000 of them are the masters and the PhD degrees that is working in that. So out of these 108, 25% is related to the biopharma, 16 and AI. So as you can see, it's also the concentration of all the infrastructure and the talent in one place, so you can be freely sharing your experience with the others and get access to more opportunities even in one region. So our hub is quite big, and we welcome everyone from your community who'd like to explore more about this innovation ecosystem. Visit our hub, and we will be conducting a lot of online and offline events in order to share these opportunities and provide some educational stacks to people who are not familiar with the startup building process and they don't know how to start the business. So we will be covering all of these topics in our online and offline events. So please join our social media in order to not miss this opportunity to know more about this. So we are not only holding these, events or uh, doing some acceleration programs for the startups. We also very tightly work with the science and technology parks because exactly in these science and technology parks, they provide more support for the research people or for the founders who would like to build their businesses. So each of these, science and technology park, for example, the first one is the Hong Kong and Shenzhen Innovation Technology Park. Second is Hong Kong Science and Technology Park, Zhangjiang Group Cyberport. Every of these parks offer different types of the supports and programs from idea stage to the scale up process. So you can find a lot of, support and help and even financing to turn your idea into the real business case solutions and real business startup companies. So, and we are offering a lot of educational stuff from these science and technology parks. So please join our webinars and other events if you would like to know more about these opportunities. So in terms of the hub collaboration and partners, we work with different type of the partners. And as the China is mostly related with the strict government policies and priorities, we try to work with the government agencies in China and in Kazakhstan too. Science and innovation parks, it's another angle, and we try to cover the top science and technology parks. And of course, a big chunk of the time we spent with the corporates and tech companies because it's very difficult to talk about the innovation, not partnering with tech companies, because exactly through these tech companies who has the resources and capabilities, we can incorporate our solutions into the ecosystem and allow the 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 audience to how to say to enjoy the innovation ecosystem results through these big tech companies. And of course, none of the startups will succeed without the VC and the funding. So we also partner with the largest top tier VC funds here in Kazakhstan, Central Asia, and including the China ecosystem, because startups cannot succeed without the funds. And as I mentioned, we spend a lot of initiatives and we conduct a lot of events. So please join because here we provide some structured way how to start your journey in the innovation ecosystem. And we also share a lot of articles about these opportunities. Why, for example, the China, why, for example, the Hong Kong and Science and Technology Park, and provide more details so you have for understanding in what kind of opportunities you can explore in China market. So I will actually skip all of that and maybe go directly to the sorry. Yeah, to the third part of our presentation, engagement of scientists with the startup ecosystem. And we discussed it with Galamjan before. So I think the easiest way how to engage with the startup ecosystem is to find the startup and find the startup founder who's actually operates in your industry of interest and become an advisor to that startup because that provides some how to say very good collaborative opportunity. You can provide more background and more your experience, practical experience to help the startups to build their project. Because if you don't have the background information about how to build the business, how to do the marketing, the fundraising, etc., it is quite difficult to start from the zero. And I think the early stage when you are in a process of understanding how the ecosystem of innovation or startup works, one of the good ways to become an advisory, because through the advisory role, you will have an access to the startup operations. You can be part of the team and advise in specific areas where you have a strong and good expertise. But at the same time, the startups can do their operational work, do the fundraising and the structuring, go to market and their product market fits type of the things. And you can concentrate on your R&D stack, help them to find how to do the R&D right in order to succeed, how to connect with the right people in the industry related to the academia, for example. So I think this is a very good way how to engage in that. Second, I think if you think about how to monetize your research papers or the research topics or the area where you would like to spend, or you like this industry and you would like to be within that industry, but at the same time to use the opportunity to monetize it, I suggest to take more entrepreneurship and programs to educate yourself and to understand how you can build a startup from scratch, how you need to ideate your research paper, for example, how to test it in the real market, and how to, I don't know, to put it as a project, because it's not also the easy job, especially if you have only the academic background and you haven't worked in the real businesses. You need to spend some time to educate yourself. So Galimjan also mentioned today that, for example, Astana Hub offers their startup garage program, that exactly for the people who has the idea, but they don't have the experience and they don't know how to start the business. So this type of the programs help you to put on paper and to structure the way how to monetize your thoughts, how to monetize your research papers, or how to monetize the innovation that you have invented. Third way, how to be closer to the innovation is to apply for the Science and Technology Park programs. I talk about right now specifically to the Chinese tech parks, because each of the parks provide a lot of perks and a lot of programs that help you to put in practice your idea, and they will providing this support throughout 3 to 5 years. So you come to the park, you apply your idea, they will help you at the first initial stage to ideate and put it as a startup. They help you to register your company. They help you with the administration stuff, how to do the accounting and the HR stuff. So you are not, spending your valuable time to all of this administration stuff, but concentrate on development of your product. So that's at the ideation stuff stage. Then at the second stage, these parts can help you to test the market. So how to test that your product that you have in mind can fit the requirements and fit the needs of your potential clients. So the second stage is to beef up your idea into real working product. And there is a lot of tools how to do it in a proper way. So in these tech parks, you can get that educational stuff too, and will be allowed to test that. And at the third stage, when you build your product, you already tested, you have your first sales, you have the MVP. The third stage, they can help you to scale up not only the China, but outside of the China's Southeast Asia, for example, or even the other developed countries. So I think the application to the Science and Technology Park programs, it's a very well established and practically tested way how academia can join the innovation sector and build their own startup. And of course, it will be very difficult to understand what all of this innovation stuff is all about without talking to real people who actually, operates in this environment. So I recommend to spend some portion of your time networking with the startup founders, with the startup, events where you see how it actually works, how the startup raise the funds, what kind of questions the VC funds asking you in order to get you the funding, and how the academia, can interact with that. Because as I mentioned, in China, for example, a lot of academia is incorporated in the real business and they already know how to work there. But being within that networking, being part of this event will help you to do it in a very fast way. And the last recommendation or the insights that I would like to give the academia is to do some, update yourself always what kind of tech development is going on around, because sometimes it thinks that some innovations may take years to achieve and to get to the final product. But right now, because of these AI stuff and all of these models that and supercomputer powers that allows to speed up that, you need to keep yourself updated on a constantly basis on what's going on around. And I think when you regularly update yourself about the recent development, you can easily pick up the areas where your experience and your knowledge is really required for them. And you can apply to that sectors and be part of that teams who builds really exciting stuff over there. So another is, yeah, I mentioned, for example, I would like to maybe stop here, just provide a couple of examples. For example, this Hong Kong's Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Parks, they do 4-year programs and they provide these grants. So as I mentioned, you can join at the idea stage and you can get the grants in order to start up your business. Then when you have developed your MVP, minimum viable product, you can also get another grants in order to test your product and get the feedback from the market. And at the last stage, as I mentioned before, it's a scale up and the growth stage, you get more grants in order to help you to increase outside and scale up outside the country. So these grants are very open to actually all of the people who may apply. And in Khan Tengri Innovation Hub, we conduct a lot of online webinars. So you will not spend in most of your time in analyzing, but get the information directly from these parks. So please join our online webinars in order to know more about that. So I would like to come back to the Zhangjiang Science City opportunities. So it's a huge park. And as you can see on the slide, they have different, stacks and different directions. So for example, they have AI robot valley, or I don't know, medical research consortium, cell and gene industrial park. So you can see that each park has their own priority sectors, and they develop a special cluster within that park in order to provide all the support, all the infrastructure, or the financing to succeed with your project. So it's a very good way or avenue to explore the China market, do it through the science and technology parks. And each park has their own supporting programs. For example, in this Zhangjiang Park, there is a support that can provide it for the legal entities and also for the individuals who would like to join. And as you can see, there is many, benefits, even for example, subsidizing or providing you the free apartments for up to 6-month period in Shanghai, for example. So you can come here, test the market, try to engage with the community, find the partners, or do some R&D works. So whatever you would like to do in China, there is a way how to get the support from the government. And each of the big tech companies in China also provide some supporting programs for the innovative solutions. So if you really would like to explore the opportunities in the China market and bring your academia expertise into the innovation sector, I would really highly recommend to analyze the science and technology parks at the first as a priority. So, for example, this is another science and technology park, which is located in the Xiamen. So it's a second tier or third tier city in China. And you can see that a lot of support can be provided for individual or for the company who would like to stay in that park, benefit from the support that the park can offer them. And actually, you can do just the how to say monetization of your initiative or the solution very freely in this science and technology park because they provide this support for you. So it's a specific community environment that is specifically built to support the startups, founders, or the talented people who would like to be within that community. So as you can see, a lot of opportunities, a lot of chances to explore the China market, and a lot of ways how to engage the academia into the real world solutions of China. And finally, I would like to maybe mention that we have a huge community of the startups in Kazakhstan, and we are very welcome to do this matchmaking of the academia with the startup founders. So you can find, at least for the initial stages, to find your good fit within the sector that you are the expert, and try to collaborate with this existing startups to start your journey and engage you into the startup ecosystem. So we are very open to do this matchmaking with the startups and do this matchmaking with the founders of this company so you can find the right fit to your needs, to your academia needs. Thank you. I think I took more time than I expected, but sometimes I decided to pay more attention in some of the details. So thank you for your time. And now I'm ready to answer any questions that you may have.
Lazzat, really appreciate for this fantastic presentation, full of insights, really, and I can really see that you put in a lot of efforts, especially made it for scientists. Truly appreciate from the community. So to say, but now we will jump to Q&A session. Maybe we'll take two questions. So guys, if you have questions, we have one. Please, for second one, just write in the chat box. It's unique opportunity to talk with Lazzat. So as Lazzat said, now this AI train opportunity is running, and how we say in Russia, like is поезд возможностью AI он уезжает. So it's very important. Like often we in our lab sitting doing our own research, and on the weekend try to catch up what's happening in this AI world, different models, different everything. And I think for some of you, maybe some of you doing a PhD, after your PhD, maybe consider to go to China to do your postdoc, or right after PhD, join a community to explore Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, big cities. And the third thing is, Lazzat mentioned, I think it's very important to follow Astana Hub events. They're doing million events every day. So it's in order to create this ecosystem so people can learn from each other and doing it freely. Definitely, you need to follow up Astana Hub events. And as Lazzat mentioned, Astana Hub, they nurturing, developing these talents. And strongest one, they getting to League of Champion. Yeah, it's going to Asset to Silicon Valley or coming to Lazzat, and they can help further develop. If it's really a sustainable startups that providing a lot of solutions. So with that, from my experience, I want to share that. So I did my neurosurgical training in Beijing, and now we're collaborating with Chinese neurosurgeon in order to work on this brain-computer interface field. And we already are setting meetings with Chinese neurosurgeons. It's very important to bring this technology to Central Asian community. So I think it's very important on a weekend times, try to get outside your bubble. Okay, try to explore what kind of opportunity life after PhD. And we jump into Q&A session. Sorry for taking time. You can ask your question in English or Kazakh, Russian, wherever is comfortable to you. So we have two questions. So first one, okay. Janar, are you comfortable to unmute yourself and ask your question very quick? You write it 3 questions, but since we have limited time, can you just unmute yourself and ask it? Okay, while we're waiting, Janar, second one, Timir Khan. Timir Khan is asking currently, yeah, Timir Khan, great. Timir Khan doing PhD in Shenzhen. Okay, Timir Khan, can you unmute yourself and introduce and just briefly ask your question? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Do you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, nice talk. Thank you. I've just started my PhD in the last year, and I will have program about 5 years. And I think maybe after my graduation, maybe go to the industry, but I'm not sure. And I think it's maybe difficult. And maybe you have some opinion about it. Thank you.
You mean industry? You mean the real corporates and the real business cases? Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, yes, of course. I think you mentioned that you were in the medical part, right? Biomedicine, something like that.
Yes, in Shenzhen
Yeah,
University.
yeah, molecular oncology. Yeah. So, of course, I think the more value from the PhD students will come when they are put in practice all the researches they've done in the lab into the real world. So I know a lot of, I will, return it back to the innovation sector and try to invite you to the startup world. So my questions may be related to that part. So in China, especially in the science and technology parks, there is a lot of startups who actually operates in the same field as you are doing your research. And due to these AI components and ability to do it with AI component, a lot of startups really hunger for the experienced PhD who can advise them to develop their products. And in many cases, startups hire the PhD and pay them for our engagement to get this expertise and help them to build their product. But in your case, you will be within that for 5 years and definitely will spend a lot of time in the deep diving into your topic. So what I suggest, not waiting until 5 years when you will graduate from your PhD program, start to involving into that ecosystem right now. And I think if you will spend a couple of hours during the week, you will mostly understand what's going on in this tech ecosystem and the innovation part. So by the end of your PhD program, you will definitely have a full understanding how you and where exactly in industry you see your future is, or you will join the startup, or you will join the bigger corporates in order to continue, I don't know, work in the real life, not only labs section. So I think by that time you will have more, how to say, opportunity to be involved in the real life. So please don't wait the 5 years. Integrate, explore many programs, and even start to join the existing startups and try to understand how you can monetize your knowledge now.
Rahmet Lazzat, I think it's a very insightful recommendation. Another thing, Tim Khan, I think you just started your PhD. I think you can focus during your PhD on some techniques that you're working in molecular oncology and try to solve the hardest problem in your subfield and offer this solution to companies. You're definitely working, your PI definitely working with some companies within the CHI of providing this molecular oncology stuff. And you can offer or talk with them what kind of problem currently you have that I can solve during my PhD and also dedicate your time. So that's why I think some of other speakers did it before, just to try and find the hardest problems that they're tackling it bring it to your lab and solve on the weekends, and after you can provide, okay, I solved your question problem, and do you want to buy it as a product? Maybe this is another way. Thank you, Timur Khan. Definitely stay in touch with Lazzat. We have, before jumping to Mar's question, last question, we have, I will just read Janar's question. So Janar is working as ophthalmologist. What level of technological readiness it typically requires to medical startups enter Chinese acceleration? And there is a funding program, so early stage biomedical innovation. I think Lazzat already answered this question. Next one, how does the Chinese innovation ecosystem support AI-driven medication technologies, particularly ophthalmology, personalized pharma therapy? I think it also has been mentioned. What's the main regularity at market entry challenges for medical deep tech startups, particularly ophthalmology, when entering the Chinese market? How researchers from Central Asia can prepare in advance? Maybe the last question, just touch upon. Thank you.
Yeah, so in terms of the how to engage, I mean, for the medical stuff, I do understand that China has a lot of processes was digitized, and they have a lot of data in terms of the patient's data, in terms of the different type of the data was classified and stored in China to help these research initiatives to monetize and put them as a product. And what these science and technology parks offer, they offer the startups, founders, or the academician who would like to, to put on paper their, to put and practice their ideas, access to this data. So I think this is a very valuable input from the government that they structured in putting in one place all the data. So imagine you have an access to the data of patients with 1 billion or 1.3 billion population. So you can train your model in a very fast way. And I don't know, I cannot even imagine, because in our countries, one of the challenges for the deep tech is to get access to the data. So the data part is covered by the government. They provide it. And in regard to the other, support, please, I mentioned that China is, how to say, dispersed, and it is structured in a segmented and the sector way. So please do your homework, analyze the science park, which is very specific to your product. So, for example, the Zhangjiang is also they pay a lot of attention to the health and science and biotech. So meaning the Zhangjiang Park is potentially one of your target parks where you can locate. So when you come to this park, you can get all the support, including the access to the labs, access to the offices, and the subsidy from or some of your costs that you can bear in China, for example, during the development of your product. So be specific. What do you want from the government side or from the corporate side? And you will definitely find the right partner and the right counterparty stakeholder who can support you in China.
Thank you, Lazzat. And I think last one, Janar, you can also do a short-term visiting fellowship, maybe 3 months, to these ophthalmology centers in China in order to get a sense of things, how it's running and what kind of opportunities they have. Thank you. And last one, last question from Omar. Omar, good evening. Nice presentation. I have 2 questions. What is the matchmaking process, and how do we get in touch with you? Thank you. Great.
Yeah, if you provide me your background and the area of your specialization, we can share with the specific startups who are actually operating in that area. So it will be very direct matchmaking. So I'm calling the founder saying that there is a PhD student who has an expertise and who would like to maybe do an advisory work or be part of the team. So I will do that matchmaking. It's very simple.
Yeah, so far so good. So with that, I want to really thanks Lazzat for her time, for her experience coming to our platform and sharing this knowledge very generously with our community. I hope that it will be not the first, but not the last meeting, and hopefully will come with people from our community to want to share We also made a recording. It will be available on our YouTube channel for other members as well. So Lazzat, again, thank you heartwelling from our community. Rahmet, it was a really great presentation. And if you guys have questions, please reach out to Lazzat via email. And we will continue our effort to making network with global professional community around the world and connecting professionals from academia with people from industry and startup system. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining today. Yeah, Lazzat, please.
Galjam, can I make the final maybe comment and note from my side?
Yeah.
So for example, personally, I spent 20 years in the corporate world. That's a very comfort zone when you have your, very well developed networking, you feel yourself very comfortable, and it is very difficult to go out of this comfort zone. And I do understand that maybe the same feelings for the academia, because you spend a lot of time in the labs and writing the research papers, etc. And sometimes it's very difficult to identify for yourself when is the right time for you to start exploring the other region, the other area. So my recommendation would be just don't idealize the process, how you find your way out of the academia. Just start exploring and do small steps. Small steps every day. Be within the community that help you to monetize and to commercialize your research or your experience in academia part. So don't create maybe too complicated thing in order to start your startup. Just start from the simple ones, from very small steps. And the longer you go, the more mistakes you will do, the better will be the final projects. Please don't idealize yourself and allow yourself to do the mistakes. Because I think that's the most important thing, to do the first steps, don't afraid of the mistakes, and do the process of engaging into the innovation, area as a journey. It is a really interesting. So please don't afraid to do that.
Thank you, Lazzat. The golden words. Yeah, I think it's the last message. Everyone gets very clear. So, Lazzat, thank you. Thank you for coming again. Wish everyone amazing day, night. So, and have a good weekend. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.